All right, so Big Tucker Carlson, the most prominent white nationalist propagandist in the entire United States of America, well known for his primetime show on Fox News, has officially been let go from the network. That is right. Okay, so this kind of came out of left field a little bit, at least from my perspective. I mean, I know that there was a lot of tension there with some of the leaked texts that we got behind the scenes during the ongoing Dominion lawsuit that was eventually settled for a historic settlement of $787 million. But I honestly didn't think that this was something that was even a potential, and yet here we have Tucker Carlson not only on the chopping block, but officially being chopped. Okay, so here from the Los Angeles Times, they say Tucker Carlson departs as Fox News as pushed by Rupert Murdoch. Okay, so apparently this came from like the upper echelons within Fox News. They say that Tucker Carlson is leaving Fox News, and hopefully, at least not by people watching this channel, he will not be missed. But they say that the network announced the departure of its top-rated and most provocative conservative primetime host Monday with no explanation. His last show was on Friday, so some people were sort of speculating, okay, maybe this was actually mutual, which is sort of like the initial statement that they put forward here. They say Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. So some people were initially thinking maybe this was a mutual agreement, but as they say here, his last show was on Friday, and during that show, when he was giving his sign-off, he had all intents and purposes was pushing forward with a promotion for his Monday show, right? And so apparently, according to later reporting, he didn't even know that this was happening until like the very last minute. So it definitely was not a mutual agreement. This was a decision that came from the top down from Rupert Murdoch himself, and Tucker Carlson was pushed out at the last hour. So they say a Fox News representative had no other details on Carlson's exit, but people familiar with the situation who were not authorized to comment publicly said that the decision, again, came straight from Fox Corp chairman Rupert Murdoch. They say that Carlson's exit is related to the discrimination lawsuit filed by Abby Grossberg, the producer who was fired by the network last month, the people said. And Carlson's senior executive producer, Justin Wells, has also been terminated, according to people familiar with the matter. A Fox News representative would not comment. They say Murdoch is also said to be concerned over Carlson's coverage of the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, in which the host has promoted the conspiracy theory that it was provoked by government agents. Which, like, specifically on that front, like, I think that there's a middle ground there where you could say definitely that a lot of the people who were going to storm the Capitol were going to do it anyways. That was the whole intention of why they were there. They were trying to stop the certification of a valid election as that was going on within the Senate. That was their entire purpose of being there. But at the same time, you also definitely did have some feds who were in the crowd who may or may not have been egging this on. So I think both of those things can be true at the same time. There's like this sort of weird black and white perspective where Democrats will say like, oh, how dare you slander the FBI? They would never dare to infiltrate some kind of movement like this and to urge people to commit crimes in order to then go after them after the fact, which is something they have done throughout their entire history. Usually it's disproportionately wielded against left-wing political movements, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was the case also within the January 6 events. But that also doesn't mean that like all of the people who were there were just completely innocent and that they didn't do this by their own volition, right? Both of those things can be true. You can have a psychotic horde of Trump supporters and also federal agents within that crowd. So that argument to me has never made any sense, but I honestly don't think that that's the core of where this actually came from. They continue here saying that the decision is not related, and this is kind of surprising to me because this was my first instinct, it was not related to the $787 million settlement that Fox News agreed to pay to Dominion Voting Systems last week, according to representatives for Dominion. Okay, so that was initially what it seems like a lot of people were speculating, that, okay, this must have been some sort of a deal that Dominion worked out with Fox News as a part of their massive settlement where you were going to have to fire Tucker Carlson or maybe put him in a difficult position where he would have to resign, and maybe that's what ended up happening. But according to Dominion, that just wasn't the case, which leaves the question, what was this actually about? Was it about Grossberg? I don't know. I mean, that also seems kind of far-fetched to me that that situation would result in the firing of their top host on their network. I mean, that also seems kind of surprising, but maybe it also has to do with some future pending litigation in regards to Smartmatic voting systems and all of that stuff. Maybe they're trying to reduce their risk in the future. I mean, a lot of this is still up in the air. This is just kind of the most recent information that I've been able to get my hands on. They say, however, some of the comments that Carlson had made, okay, this is an interesting part, about the upper management communications that turned up in the discovery process during this Dominion case, may have also played a role in Carlson's demise. They say Dominion accused Fox of knowingly making false claims related to the 2020 election. They also say that Grossberg was moved off of Sunday Morning's Future with Maria Bartiromo and onto Tucker Carlson Tonight, where she said she was bullied and subjected to anti-Semitic comments. Not surprising there. And she then filed a lawsuit in New York. They said Carlson was by far the most popular individual host on Fox News, averaging more than 3 million viewers a night, but he also brought controversy to the network on a regular basis with his provocative views on immigration and race, which alienated advertisers. So there's a lot going on here, obviously, right? Was this pressure from advertisers in the wake of some of these leaked texts where they were saying, we are not going to advertise on Tucker Carlson's show? Was this just a decision that was made by Rupert Murdoch, where he didn't like the way that Tucker Carlson in these leaked texts was talking about some of the upper management at Fox News? Did this have to do with his coverage of January 6th or the 2020 election? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions as of right now, but we also have some other interesting aspects of that story. So that's just like the basics of what we know so far. But they say here from Bloomberg, this is another absolutely hilarious, happenings of events here from Bloomberg. They say that Tucker Carlson, his Fox News exit, erases $590 million in value from Fox Corporation. Okay, $600 million, okay, from their stock valuation. Now listen, Tucker Carlson, I mean, you could arguably say that his show alone is probably worth a decent amount of money. I wouldn't be surprised if it's worth upwards of maybe $100 million or something like that, but $600 million because they dropped this information in the middle of the day while the markets are still open, and they end up losing over $500 million in their valuation. And this is after they just lost $787 million as a part of that Dominion lawsuit. So the financial situation of Fox News not doing so hot right now. Now we have some other speculations that have been put forward here. One is from Jordan. He says, it feels like this is either setting up an independent media play or a presidential run. Both seem bad. Yeah, they both do seem bad. I mean, listen, if Tucker Carlson goes to independent media, could he succeed? Yes. I mean, I think there's very few people who are able to actually bring like a loyal audience with them if they were to leave such a large, cable network like Fox News. I think that Tucker Carlson, if he went and did his own independent media type of thing, I think that he would honestly be successful. And honestly, as he points out here, that could be bad. I mean, it could be good in the sense that he's not on cable news anymore, but it could be bad in the sense that this sort of like unshackles him even more to go further in the direction of white nationalist right-wing propaganda. But then you also have the possibilities of a presidential run. That part of it, maybe in the future, I'd say for 2024, that's almost a 0% chance of happening, but maybe in 2028, I don't know. Did either of these things have an actual factor in terms of him leaving Fox News? Again, I highly doubt it. I think he would have stuck around for at least a couple more years if he had his choice of the matter. We also had a take here from Hassan Nabi. He says, Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News. Doubt that Fox will be able to find a WASP nationalist. That stands for, obviously, white Anglo-Saxon. And he says, nationalist propaganda machine as good as Tucker. Fuck him. And again, he's 100% correct because, I mean, obviously, Tucker Carlson, as much as I absolutely despise the guy and basically everything that he stands for, he was good at what he did. And that's something I've given him credit for in the past. He is very effective at, in a somewhat subtle way, at least subtle to the people who view his network, pushing that sort of WASP identitarian agenda while trying to cover it up in the rhetorical language of economic populism and stuff like that. So I think he was definitely skilled at what he did, and I think that it's going to be pretty difficult for Fox to actually fill his slot with somebody who can even scratch the surface or come close to the kind of energy and viewership that he was able to garner, which honestly, again, is bad for Fox News, which means it's good for the world. So that's another take there. We are going to finish off here with a take, and instead of from these two leftists here, Jordan and Hasanabi, we're going to finish off here with a take from another fellow, sort of right-wing reactionary propagandist over here, Charlie Kirk, of Turning Point USA, who is going to basically completely melt down and pretend as if, honestly, Tucker Carlson is dead with the way that he is giving his rhetoric in this clip. So let's watch this one real quick.
Tucker Carlson remade the right. That is one thing I will agree with the view on. He was more powerful than anybody else since the death of Rush Limbaugh in reshaping the right, in moving the Overton window, in pushing forward positive narratives, in challenging Operation Mockingbird. And I can say this as somebody who knows Tucker very well. He did not care about the backlash.
Okay. So, on the one hand, again, it's pretty funny to see a lot of right-wing people melting down about this. It definitely is going to be a significant hit to the right's propaganda machine apparatus, right? That part of it is 100% true. But the part there that kind of just stood out to me from the rest of that clip, he brings up Operation Mockingbird, which is just a bizarre thing to bring up, talking about Tucker Carlson. Okay, for those of you who don't know, just in a very rudimentary way, essentially Operation Mockingbird was pushed by the CIA during the Red Scare, okay, to try to push media organizations to create sensationalized propaganda against the Soviet Union or anything that even had a whiff of socialism or communism or left-wing ideology, right? That's what Project Mockingbird was. And he's talking about Tucker Carlson as if he's the guy who was pushing back against that sort of, I guess in his mind, is government-directed propaganda, which is just an absolutely insane way to talk about something like that, or to talk about CIA operations as if the CIA is some woke leftist organization. I mean, that's literally where they are right now, right? If you are not fully in compliance with everything that they want to do and that is a part of their agenda, you are a part of the woke mob. Now listen, at the end of the day, again, this was a pretty surprising, obviously a gigantic piece of news here. This will significantly shake up the media landscape here in the United States. Tucker Carlson was the most popular, the most watched cable news primetime host in the entire country. Almost nobody came close to him. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here. Are we going to get more information in terms of the inner workings of what the motivation was for letting him go? What is he going to do in the future? What are his future ventures going to actually end up be? And as we get that more information, I will certainly keep you guys updated here.
Everyone is saying good Politic guy has the best Politic. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me, everyone is saying